Into the Shadows of Kansas City. Part 1. The Silent Guardian. 4 months had passed since that night on the river, and though the wounds in Beauregard Tecumseh Garwood's body had healed, the scars on his mind lingered. Kansas City still carried the stink of corruption, and Garwood could feel its weight in every corner of the city he loved. The memory of Salvatore Carlucci's escape gnawed at him, a shadow he couldn't shake. He had saved Olivia Parkhurst that night, but the city's rot still festered, and he had yet to bring the real villain to justice. Carlucci had been forced into hiding and had disappeared from his socialite lifestyle. His presence in the warehouse that night was more than enough for him to be brought in for questioning. Charges would not be brought, and no jury would dare to convict, not in this city. A city completely within the serpent-like coils of Carlucci's control and power. Garwood, never dissuaded in his mission, would still try to seek justice even if the effort was futile. Olivia had returned to her life, slowly reclaiming some semblance of normalcy. At 16, she now worked at a small dress shop near the city square. Her father and Garwood had made a silent pact. They would protect her, keep watch over her as she walked the 8 blocks to and from work. Garwood's mind had been at ease knowing that when her father wasn't there, he was. Invisible in the shadows, always watching. This afternoon was no different. Olivia walked home, unaware that Garwood followed a few strides behind, moving between alleyways, keeping his presence hidden. The streets were busy with people finishing their day's work, the sun hanging low in the sky, casting long shadows over the city. Olivia was safe. She greeted neighbors along the way, her guard slowly lowering as the weeks passed without incident. But at the back of the detective's mind played the pervasive creeping of doubt. Had he let Carlucci off easy? Should he have tried to end it that night? Had Carlucci let him and Olivia off easy? And why? The more Garwood thought about it, the less it all made sense. His keen deductive mind told him Carlucci's men should have gunned them down as they drifted into the night. The image of Carlucci, standing at the end of the dock slowly clapping, burned into his memory. Why? Garwood grasped at the threads of reason on which he relied, the ever-present nagging of the thought that he had been outplayed and even used to an unknown end stirring doubt in his soul. He knew something wasn't right. He tiptoed at the precipice of understanding that he and Olivia were mere pawns in a game, the magnitude of which was still unknown. Garwood tried in vain at times not to dwell on these intrusive and troublesome thoughts and find focus and purpose in the task at hand. His routine had become one of quiet surveillance. He watched Olivia until she reached her doorstep, then disappeared back into the night. But today, when he returned to his apartment, something was wrong. The door was ajar. Garwood paused, his instincts sharpening. He slipped his .357 Magnum from its holster, easing the door open with his boot. Inside, his apartment was a disaster. Books were thrown from the shelves, drawers emptied, and furniture overturned. Whoever had been here wasn't after valuables. They were looking for something. He moved cautiously through each room, clearing them one by one. Nothing seemed to be missing. Garwood's apartment was immaculate, usually in perfect order, but now it looked like a war zone. As he moved to set his bed upright, something stopped him cold. Beneath the bed was a severed hand. Garwood stared at it, his breath steady but his heart pounding. The hand had been cut cleanly, post-mortem. The blood, now dry, had a strange odor. It wasn't human. He knelt down and inspected it more closely. Chicken blood. There was a note tucked beneath the hand, written in jagged letters. I know what you're doing. I know you won't stop, but if you don't, people will get hurt. Garwood's mind raced. Was this a warning from the mob? Or had his own department sent this gruesome message? The lines between law and crime in Kansas City had long since blurred. But whoever had left the note knew his movements and wanted to stop him from digging deeper into Salvatore Carlucci's whereabouts. Garwood was not a man to be shaken or rattled. He had been threatened before and on more than one occasion, but now the secret he had toiled to conceal from the world caused a catch in his throat. A pang of fear unlike anything he had ever felt before made the very blood in his veins run cold. He had looked death in the eyes, killed men with his hands, been wounded and nearly killed by those same men, but now he felt something that was unlike any fear he had ever experienced. He must go now. If he didn't, every moment was agony. The power the secret held over Garwood was that of a universal pull and fundamental force of nature, and despite his cold and hardened demeanor, he could no more resist its power than the tides resist the moon. Garwood returned some time later, somewhat relieved his secret was safe for now. He reported the break-in to his supervisors, keeping the note to himself. His trust in the department was razor thin. His captain, William Billy Fletcher, who had grown increasingly distant since the riverboat incident, assigned a rookie detective to the case. A young bumbling officer named Cosner Davis, fresh out of training, eager but painfully inexperienced. Garwood saw the assignment for what it was, a way to bury the investigation. The general thought throughout the department was that Garwood had once again strayed too far into the forbidden land of the crime families. The bloody hand was thought simply to be a warning that Garwood should mind how far he reached into Carlucci's world, or he may lose more than a hand. Cosner had been warned about Garwood, told to tread lightly. Garwood didn't care. He was going to solve this on his own, and no incompetent rookie was going to stop him.